All right, as mentioned in the spec, we are not going to explain how StdIn works from scratch. Instead, we expect you to look at the documentation and tutorials, and then also this video as examples, right? So what I'm going to do is write a contrived example of what StdIn is going to do for us. So StdIn, I'm going to say this program, demonstrates how StdIn works. Okay, and so what main's going to do is the user collects user input. If the user enters a number, the number is recorded. If the user types the word 2, the sum of the previous two numbers is output. And if the user types the word 3, the sum of the previous 3 is output. Okay, so we want to write a program that does that. And how do we do that? Okay. So what I'm going to do then is say string, actually, while true. Okay, I'm going to run forever. Oh yeah, I guess then I'll say if the user types quit, the program ends. Okay, so how this is going to work is we are going to use StdIn to say read equals StdIn.read string, and then we're going to process it. I guess actually where we start, let's set up, let's say, how about x2, x1, x0. And we'll set all these guys equal to 0 initially. These are going to track 2 numbers ago, 1 number ago, and current number. Okay, so what we're going to do is take this number. Now, if it so happens that s equals 2, then we are going to system.out.println x0 plus x1. Okay. If s equals 3, then we're going to do system.out.println x1 plus x2. And x0 plus x1 plus x2. If s equals quit, then we are going to return. Otherwise, what we're going to do is say x0 equals integer.parseInt s. So parse the current character, assuming it's a number. Then what we're going to do, before we do that though, we're going to say x2 equals x1, x1 equals x0. All right, I think that should just be it. Okay, so let's try compiling it. Get a feeling for how it works. StdIn demo 2. Okay, so we start running, and now we type in some numbers. So we don't have any kind of prompt, but we could have added a print somewhere. In fact, actually, let's do that. Okay. Or command. Okay. And we'll run it. And we see you get your command. And now it seems to stop. Why? Well, it's waiting for us to type something. So I'm going to type in 3. Okay, 5, 1, 2. Now I'm going to say 3. Uh-oh, broke. S dot equals 3. All right, I am stumped for input string. How do we get that far? You should have stopped here. Oh, ha, okay. It did actually print out the sum, but then it crashed because then it tried to use that number here. Okay, so what I really meant to do then say was else. Okay. These are probably good bugs to be showing because you may see similar. Okay, else, let's do all this. Okay, somewhat weird style here. I'll give you a little tip in a bit. Okay, so let's try running it. Again, 3, 6, 1, 3. Okay, good. Now, what's interesting about StdIn is it doesn't really care if you're putting in spaces. So if I do this, for example, it will behave as if it went through this whole loop 3 times, as you see, because it printed out your command, your command, your command. We just have to live with that. Don't worry about it. If you separate things with spaces, that's how it's going to be with this particular code. Okay, so let's do one more little syntax thing that we haven't explained yet, and this is also linked in the spec, which is the switch statement. So instead of having a bunch of if-else's daisy-chained, we can instead do switch s, and we can say case In this case, we do case 2. All right, and what then happens is we're just going to put this code here. And then we're going to use a special word called break. Just put it there on the same line. I guess that's reasonable style. Though I'm not certain that our style checker is going to like that, but you don't have to worry about it yet. Okay, so I'm just writing an alternate. This is just other fancier Java syntax we have not quite learned yet. Case quit, return. We don't really need a break there, but because return's going to happen. Actually, I'm going to get rid of it because that's silly. Yeah, okay. And then finally, I am going to, it's not any of these cases, so it's this final case. So we do case default, and then we're going to say x2 equals x1, x1 equals x0, x0 equals integer.parseInt. Now, I'm not certain this is going to compile because I haven't used the case statement in a while from scratch. So let's find out. It's all spur of the moment. Case default. Maybe it's just default. Okay, cool. So now let's try it again. 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Okay, 2 plus 3 plus 4. Good. Looks like it's working. So if you're still not quite sure what's going on, you can actually take all of this code and put it in the visualizer. Here we go. It's my old demo. I like this one more. So, okay. So I'm going to run this code in the visualizer, and I can have all of this stuff happening. And you can watch the code run with StdIn happening. Okay, so if you want, you can try this out. Step forward. Okay, your command gets printed. It reads a string. C1 gets pulled off of there. So this should give you a better mental model of how the whole process behaves. Okay, so that is it for now. I hope that was helpful. Please make sure that you, well, check out the documentation linked in the spec if all this didn't make sense, and I hope it was helpful.